On today's Minute of the Apes, your tears are delicious. Oh, the tears of unfathomable sadness. Your tears are so yummy and sweet.
Exercise would an ape make a human down. Then talks. With a divine bound. We are determined to know what the apes want. War or peace.
They are the good human, is a dead human.
And if it is man's destiny one day to be dominated, then, oh, please, God, let him be dominated by such as you.
Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we break down every minute of the Planet of the Apes movies, 1 minute at a time, and I am left on this Tuesday morning not knowing what the hell you just quoted, Richard.
Cartman.
Oh.
South Park.
Yeah, look, I like those guys and respect them, and I love Book of Mormon. I think they're freaking genius. I don't think I've maybe watched 5 episodes of that series in my life.
You've missed some good ones.
Yeah, I was addicted to it for about the first 6 or 7 years, and then I would catch popular episodes here and there, and then I just checked out just because I don't know why I lost interest. It wasn't like it got bad. It just I myself kind of like Simpsons. I love Simpsons, and I just don't watch it anymore. And It's not that it's not good. I've grown out of that moment. Yeah,
I loved Simpsons, and I think that for me, I think South Park, a lot of what happened with it hit around the time that, number one, first I got married, then I had a kid, and I just sort of kind of dropped out of some things of pop culture, and I knew about it. I thought it was funny. I just didn't have time for it. Maybe at one point I'll start from the beginning and see if I enjoy it. Who knows? Anyway, Sean, tell us what's going on with today's minute.
All right, we're going to start minute 42 with Caesar still crying and looking around, and ends with the gorilla jumping on spilt trash.
Oh my God, another crying minute? All right,
I know.
Let's take a listen to this minute.
There's no crying in ape movies.
No crying. All right, let's take a listen to this minute of Conquest of the Planet of the Apes.
Attention. Last night, several security forces apprehended and placed in custody a number of servant apes from widely scattered households throughout the city who had gathered clandestinely in the unused building on the outskirts of the East Sector. Property owners are firmly warned that they bear sole responsibility for the behavior and whereabouts of their servant apes.
As minute 42, we have a courtyard with the gorillas, chimpanzees, orangutans, imported apes, Caesar, and a planet's worth of humans, minus one on Rondo.
You know, it's funny because when you quote League of Their Own, my stupid brain goes to just the other day I was looking at somebody's resume on IMDb, and I was like, what? She was one of the people? And it was, do you remember the actress from the 80s and named Janet Jones? She was really cute. Kind of had some small roles. She was a dancer. She was married to Wayne Gretzky. And it was just because my daughter asked something about it. I looked her up and I was like, wait, she was a pitcher in League of Their Own. You know how it is. They shoot all these scenes and the person gets cut out, essentially. So it's just weird that you take my brain right back there. Anyway, let me shift the gears and take us back into apes. All right. So this is where, again, that this idea of him crying is a good thing. Because he takes the anxiety of losing the man that inarguably was his father.
His sadness and anger, I'm sure.
Well, and that's what I was going to say, is that the sadness turns to anger. The movie now is shifting because now Caesar, it's not that Caesar wasn't our main character, But now Caesar is owning being the main character because his sadness has turned to anger, and now he's going to be enacting a plan. He's going to be enacting an emotion. I don't know what to call it, but the movie has pivoted because that sadness has turned to anger.
Yeah.
What I liked about the start of his Scream was that he was mimicking his father in that moment from Escape, where he puffs his cheeks out, makes that kind of weird raspy burst before going into the Scream. And I'm like, okay, that's a nice callback. Something, the father and son that have their similarities between them, and you got to see that moment. I thought that was kind of cool. I don't know if that was intentional of him thinking back about that moment from the last movie.
I think it definitely was.
Reusing it was great.
Well, what I think's cool too is that
limited by. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I know we're limited by the technology of the time with the makeup, but I'm flashing forward to the first of the new movies where they show comparisons of Andy Serkis's performances whenever he's upset versus the final images of Caesar being upset, and how they really capture his performance. And it's incredible job as Roddy did at crying, and then you see him transition to anger as he runs away and screams and all that. Just imagine what it'd be like if they were actually able to motion capture his performance and see what that would have looked like.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think that one of the things that is magnificent, to Richard's point, where he's echoing his performance from another film, I think is also that he seems to give into that unknowingly possessing his father within him, but then he almost pulls himself back, like the surprise, the thing of, I can't act like this. What if someone sees me? You can see all these things happening within Roddy's head, and I beating my drum again of that. I just wish they'd been given more time, because he is, every time this man puts on this makeup, even in these films where they pull back the budget instead of putting a little more to it, he's able to find the emotions that ring so true.
Well, and it'd be interesting to think about how, if there are more, I mean, I don't know how you'd really explore this, but where he is, equal parts his mother and equal parts his father, and that flash of the puffing of the cheeks and anger is his father, the scream is his mother, and then the pull back to being reserved, to be more calm and peaceful and maybe more calculated as a combination of the two of them.
Right.
It'd be nice to see how you could play that out. I'll just throw that out there as a possibility where he's at right now in his head. Roddy is with who this character is, that he's an equal mix of Zira and Cornelius.
I think that's an interesting idea, and I one that I think that given the time, they probably would sit there and say, look, here's a little bit of what Kim did. These kind of very almost leadership sassy type things. You can find a way to be very cutting and dry. It's like when we all have this, I'm sure. I know in moments where I am my mother, when I get snitty with people, because my mom is very not cold, she's very sharp whenever she wants to just say something, and I'll do that stuff. Then I'm more like my father, and other times, if you can build those two together, they certainly would not have probably gotten to that level with how quick they were trying to crank this movie.
Well, not with the time. But I mean, we can look at this moment and just kind of maybe imagine that that's what he's doing.
No matter what he's doing, it is freaking magnificent. The man, put him in some latex makeup and put glycerin tears on his eyes any day, I will watch him. Man, I love it when I say shit and it just causes silence. I love doing this podcast with y'all.
No. I'm thinking about that. I'm sorry. I'm jumping to the next moment. It's like I'm sorry. I was reading part of the script.
Well, I was going to say, Todd, why are you even commenting on that? All you have to do is cut out the silences, and then you sound like a genius when you edit all this.
Because that would mean I'm editing more than I already do.
I'm just going to give you some bites you can drop in. Todd, that was amazing. Todd, that was great. Wow, what a great idea. That's fantastic. I had never thought of that. So you can just insert those anytime you need to with this pauses.
Core concepts of my life.
I would like to tell y'all, how many years have we been doing this now? It's a couple, right?
How old are you?
At this point,
about
it feels
50
like
years to
a
that.
million.
So in the time that we've been doing this, you guys have understood how to placate me better than Shelley has in 26 years of marriage. Thank you so much. So what is smart, though, after we get Roddy crying in the dark, they use the age-old idea in cinema that if you're going to go from interior, you go exterior. If you're going to go from night, you go to day. And we go right back to this, and it's a hard cut to a very bright thing. It lets us know that his emotions are now cemented. And now here we are on a new day where we're like, and it shocks your brain. It makes you think, oh, here we go. And that is where we begin to see him assert himself.
Well, let's think about this. The night scene began with them at the Civic Center going up to give us the sense of distance. And then we cut back to this moment. Now it's daytime, and we also start up and go back down into the city. So I don't know if that was an intentional choice of shots, but
Probably.
for some reason we're going from a tall building back down into the city itself.
So,
And this is one of the few times that, so far at least in this movie, I'm assuming that we won't see much more later, is we see a sign for an actual business that's Weatherby's Kater Shoes.
Did anybody look it up?
I looked it up. I couldn't find anything on the business. I saw like there are pairs of shoes in museums and stuff like that.
From what, Weatherby Kaiser?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it might have been just a boutique store that was around at that time that didn't last. Yeah.
Yeah, but I see like a pair of shoes in a museum and some LA museums here and there, and that's about it.
So Richard, I'm kind of curious what the script says here, because when I watch this whole sequence, I entirely get what they're saying. Caesar has changed. Caesar's going to lead the apes in some manner. But when I watch this, if I'm watching shots that tell me a story, it simply almost gives Caesar some kind of mental ability to tell them to act different. I don't see him dropping things and the other apes imitate it, or he knocks something over and they do it. I don't see that. I just see him look and they go, oh, boom. So what does the script call for in this?
All right. So just to let you know, Dane, with the very, very opening scene that was cut, where we had the ape that was badly beaten and the police officer discovers this badly beaten ape, right? There have been these moments of ape congregations around in the script that have never really been fully realized or shown or seen, right? So after Caesar strides off into the darkness, we then cut to an ape's servant's quarters at night, a bare stone cellar with barred windows through which moonlight filters as we pan a row of straw-stuffed mattresses where apes lie sleeping, some soundly, some restlessly, some silently, some with little nightmare squeals and whimpers. There are also grunts which louden as we pan past a neatly swept heap of orange and banana peels, to Aldo and his cronies squatting in a circle under a shaft of moonlight at the bedrow's end. Grunt, 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 an eerie sound on an eerie sight, where they're conferring, they're in session, they're holding a meeting, grunt, grunt, grunt. Then from nowhere, Caesar steps into the moonlight. Caesar, and then Aldo. Caesar calls him Aldo. The grunting stops dead as Aldo looks up at first, transfixed, then transfigured. His eyes have beheld his lord.
So,
cut to shopping center day. On the surface, the same busy brightness. We cut next to this next moment.
So
Dane was already kind of setting up an ape uprising. He was already setting up restless apes that never showed a fruition, which might give a reason why Breck is so upset and why the city's in a police situation. This has kind of been boiling in the background of all these other scenes, but we never really see it.
So again, not to compare, obviously we have to at some point, the new movies to the old movies. I feel like the new movies give a better reason for a revolt, and you'll understand it when you see them, Richard. But this one, it doesn't make sense. Okay, so the apes are supposed to be kind of the new pet / servants of people. We have service dogs, and so, some people have like service apes and stuff like that. You treat your service dog very well. You don't put your service dog in a cage that's horrible and mistreat them and always are acting like they're stupid because they did one thing wrong. No, your service dog is your best goddamn friend. So why would these apes, why would people be treating apes like a piece of shit whenever they're supposed to be the best things that's ever happened to humanity?
I think that I get it we're bred to be paranoid about this. I think a paranoid leader in a story, gee, go figure where I'm going with that, but a paranoid leader